Welcome to the channel, folks. I appreciate you clicking on the video. In today's episode, I'm glad to finally be able to swap out the damaged front bumper on my 68 Plymouth Satellite daily driver here. For those of you that follow the channel, you'll recall that a few months ago, sometime last year, somebody in a modern full-size four-door Volkswagen sedan pulled over in front of me in traffic and brake checked me pretty hard. And I didn't have any time at all to react and slammed into him going at good speed. And did a bunch of damage to his car. Enough, I would say, to total it, considering that I've been doing paint and body work for several years now. And my car came out pretty good, only needing a front bumper. And I've finally got a replacement front bumper for it today. Took me a long time to get around to doing it, but I finally got one. Of course, a lot of you have already noticed that it says Dodge Coronet 68 to 69 front bumper chrome here. And that's because I've got a 68, 69 Coronet front bumper on here already from a previous accident. And my 68 Satellite bumper brackets are messed up too bad to put a bumper on. And I wanted to replace this bumper here anyway because I took it off of my 68 Coronet project car. And I'm gonna have to put this one back on it eventually after I get a real 68 Satellite bumper for this car, whether it's a used one or a reproduction one. I don't care, as long as it's a really good quality bumper. And speaking of quality, it's a authentic Mopar restoration part, as you can see by the little labels there. That small one and the larger one that got covered up with a bunch of other labels. And in addition to being an authentic restoration part, it's well regarded by the Mopar community. The AMD brand is, because I did a fair amount of research into this before I decided which bumper to buy for the car, and a bunch of different Mopar guys talked really good about their AMD bumpers. And a couple of the guys that seemed like they really knew what they were talking about said that it was pretty much the same thickness and the same strength as a original bumper, which is great because I know there are a lot of really cheap aftermarket bumpers and aftermarket bumper companies out there. They just don't seem to do near as well in an accident or last as long as far as the chrome finish goes, either one. This is the original front bumper from my 68 Coronet project. Chrome's all good pretty much everywhere except for where the license plate would go up to it. It polishes up really nice. It does have that tarnished spot there, I forgot about it. What's funny is a surprising handful of people haven't even noticed the fact that the front bumper is smashed up so bad. I guess it's because the damage is so symmetrical on it. Either that or they just don't know what to look for. Either way, I'm done driving around with the smashed up front bumper now. It's coming off today. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing. See how the chrome looks. That's some heavy-duty wax paper they got it wrapped up in. Not really wax, it's plastic lined. Well, it's out and it looks great. They've got it smudged up and brushed down with some kind of a greasy anti-rust protector, and it's all slick with it. Makes it look kind of foggy, but it's a pretty nice looking bumper. There's some stripes in the chrome there. I hope they don't bubble up later, but they shouldn't. The chrome's supposed to be really high quality on this bumper, like I said. And this is a like a standard level of chrome plating. You can get a version of this bumper that's about $100 more expensive, that's triple chrome plated, and I'm sure that's closer to the factory level of durability. But this is what, you know, I can do with my budget for right now. And I don't really care too much if it starts to rust later, because the car's a beater anyway. I'll use whatever part of this looks best. Alright. Thanks. Alrighty guys, front bumper and bumper brackets are off, and I've already sprayed some penetrating lube on the nuts and bolts here to get a head start on getting them off of there. They haven't been taken loose in forever, or maybe ever. I'm not totally sure now, since there's a couple of possible missing bolts there. I'm not sure if they popped off from stress in the accident, or if the thing had been swapped one time before without putting all the bolts back in it. But either way, I'm waiting on some penetrating lube, and we're going to put the new bumper on there soon. Unfortunately, there are no holes for the bumperettes in this bumper, which I guess is better for making a one-size-fits-all bumper. That just leaves guys like me that want the extra protection of these bumperettes here having to drill our own little hole there to get the things mounted. And they really help a lot, because there was a really deep imprint of those two things in the back end of the car that brake checked me. And there it is, all cleaned up and installed. It was kind of a pain in the butt getting my old 68 Coronet bumper brackets off of this bent up bumper here. I had to grind the heads off of a lot of the bumper bolts with an angle grinder. And because of that, I had to go back to my old '68 satellite front bumper here that was on the car when I got it, and source a bunch of little round bumper bolts. I was not able to get this one. It was refusing to come off. But I got a decent looking set of bumper bolts for the car. They all fit pretty good, and they all look pretty good. They don't fit perfect, but they fit good enough for me. I had to beat and straighten up one of the bumperettes, and I shaved what was left of the old half-inch thick rubber protectors off of there with my knife, and repainted the little metal strips that they were attached to black, so it would kind of give the appearance that they're still there, or hold the same look is a good way to put it. Little black strips on the front of the bumperettes there. Overall, I'm really pleased with how everything looks and lines up. The quality of the chrome is really good. I like the shininess and the reflectiveness, but it's got a couple of small little dents in it from the factory, like right there and right there. And it's got a little scratch in the chrome right here. And that kind of stuff doesn't bother me at all, because this is just a daily beater. But if someone was doing a really nice looking restoration on an old Super Bee or something like that, I think it would probably bother them. I had to drill my own holes for these bumperettes, and that wasn't easy, but you know, it wasn't the hardest thing to do either. The hardest part was putting a drill bit down on that brand new chrome bumper that I just paid for. Looking sharp and ready to do some damage again. For a long time I've been meaning to mix up a good match for this faded green paint and paint the filler panel between the bumper and the grill here. And in a bit of a parking lot donut mishap, I ended up damaging this side of the thing before I could get it painted, and now it needs a little bit of work before I can paint it, but I still at least want to touch up this little nick right here. That bit of paint came off in one of the many collisions with a deer that I've had with the car. I've killed 4 different deer with this car, and 3 out of 4 of them didn't do any damage at all. Unfortunately, the 4th one came from the right side of the road over here and was trying to run across in front of me, and when I hit him, he tripped the hood latch, and I didn't have hood pins at the time, and the hood flew up, and he ended up smashing the grill and the radiator support and the radiator all into the fan. Over here, I keep my old grill and headlight buckets sitting around just as a reminder. It got smashed up pretty good. If you can imagine the front end of the car being smashed in about that much. And I had this really cool old custom painted hood here on the car. It may or may not have been the original hood that was on the car, but a friend of mine and my dad's that's been doing custom paint and restoration work for, 30 or 40 years came up with this striping pattern for the car and painted it on there for me. And I put the Roadrunner sticker that's supposed to be on the trunk over here next to the Plymouth emblem, which I took off and used on my new hood. It's a real shame that this one got all smashed up, because I got a lot of compliments on the thing about how it looked like it was factory, or how it looked like it should have been factory, and how it really went with the look of the car. It was a very unique car, I gotta give it that, but I really like the 6-pack scoop and the hood pins. That's grown on me a lot now. Speaking of hood pins, the last accident with that 4th deer is what inspired me to finally put hood pins on the car. I didn't really want to do it because it already has these old turn signal indicators up here that don't even work anymore. And I thought it would look kind of busy having hood pins and turn signal indicators, but I strongly advocate for hood pins on pretty much any vehicle. You never know when the factory latch isn't going to be good enough for you. And there's a million scenarios out there on the highway where something could tap the front end of your car just hard enough to open up the hood. Very much like happened with me. If that deer hadn't caught the latch of my hood like that and let it fly up, the car probably would have just killed him and taken no damage like it had with the last 3 deers. And real quick before I go, any of you guys that have been following the channel for a while might be wondering what this new spot in the paint here on the fender is all about. I was working on my carb not too long ago, trying to keep this thing in perfect tune as I always do, and I had a big, really thick multi-layer shop rag sitting up here that was like folded over several times, and I set the carb down on top of it, and while I was doing other things, a little bit of fuel leaked out of the fuel inlet. It was sitting at just the perfect angle so it would do it, and it soaked that shop rag full of gas, not grass, geez, get it together. And that's what we have. When I picked up the rag, the paint was all lifted really bad underneath there. And it lines up perfectly with this place in the fender that got buckled in the crazy parking lot donut mishap that I don't talk about too much. So it's just another part of the patina now. I might possibly put a little bit of a matte clear coat over the top of this fender or something like that, just to keep this damage from spreading too much, but you never know. I'm gonna let it go for a little while and see how keen it is on spreading, and if I have to, I'll put something over top of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Car's running really good, by the way, if you want an update on that. And I really appreciate you guys watching, old subscribers and new watchers alike. So y'all, stay safe and take it easy.